between the Goat Rodeo and Men's Alliance, we think we're definitely onto something that's making Goat and I better leaders, better husbands, better fathers, better friends. And that's what we really hope to do with the Goat Rodeo is bring those guys that are isolated in their tree stands, and probably feeling isolated in other areas of their lives as well, bring them into community.
Hey, hunting family, welcome back to Tracks and Tackle, and we got a pretty special episode for you today. We're introducing two pretty cool guys into the Tracks and Tackle hunting family. We got Chad Goat Bowser and Chris Rodeo Martin from Goat Rodeo Archery. So today these fellows are going to come on, and we're going to talk about their mission to build a stronger archery community through wild, fun challenges. And they mix competition with camaraderie and probably a little bit of chaos too. So we're going to be talking about adrenaline bow shoots, cursed 3D courses, and everything in between. So Chris and Chad, thanks for joining. I'll just turn it over to you guys. So why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. So I'm Chris Martin. They call me Rodeo in the tribe, and I have been hanging out with Chad for about 5-6 years now. Converted me to a vertical bow, and I haven't looked back since. But we've done a couple hunts together. But I think one of the most important things that we do together is this Goat Rodeo, which is building that stronger archery community, bringing hunters out of isolation and together with like-minded men.
Yeah, and I'm Chad Bowser. I'm the goat of the Goat Rodeo, and not greatest of all time. I'm just actually named me that for running up over mountains. So that's where that name comes
Okay.
from. Man, about 2011, I think it was, I started doing Spartan races, and then traveling around the country doing different races. And in 2017, I got introduced to a Train to Hunt event, which was the local one was cool and it was fun. The regional or the national ones were extremely difficult, but it unlocked like a little lock up here in the brain that said you're capable of much more, right? And you can combine it with archery. And so then we started participating in events like that. We did an alpha bow hunting challenge out near Pittsburgh, and that was Chris's very first event. And so we got him hooked, and then we started looking at what do we have locally to actually accomplish the same thing. And there wasn't something that fit the exact niche that we were looking for, which is, again, we're looking to build the archery community with as many guys as we can, right? So get guys into archery, get them practicing, get them shooting, get them communing. And a lot of the hardcore, like if you want to do a tactical games, well, you need a gun, right? And you need a vest and you need all the equipment to go with
Yeah.
tactical games. Well, some of the archery events are the exact same way. You need a really good, comfortable, expensive pack because you're going to be packing 40, 60 pounds up and down mountains and shooting. You need a way to carry your bow on a long run. You need a 7-arrow quiver in some of the events, right? So everything was this unique, hard to bridge barrier getting into some of the events. So when we came up with the Goat Rodeo Archery Challenge, we eliminated all those special needs. So if you have a bow and 4 arrows, you're good to go, right? Everything else, it would be nice to have, and you can figure out later on whether or not you should have had better socks. That's up to you. But
Yeah.
we had just a ton of fun planning these events.
Yeah. So like that's one of the things as I was researching you guys, and certainly we got a mutual friend that introduced you to me, and I love the fact that you're Central PA guys because that's what we're all about is connecting with local regional groups like this. So this is a perfect fit to have you guys come on and introduce you to the audience and get them to know exactly what you're doing. And I want to dive into that. But one of the things when I was looking into, all right, what is this goat rodeo? I discovered that you've created it so that it's attainable for everyone. Like you said, like you don't
Absolutely.
have to have the specialized equipment. You're not ruling people out just because of, they have a certain bow or they lack a certain tool. So that speaks to, I was saying earlier, like it speaks my language. Like you create space for people to come in. So for the audience who have no clue, explain to them like what is the goat rodeo. Certainly when you say about Spartan races and things like that, I'm familiar. I got some buddies that do that sort of stuff, and I think, man, good for them. Yeah, not that's not for me. But um, it's pretty cool when you get through that and you come out on the other side. It's like an accomplishment. It is. So why don't you just explain to the audience the concept of what you guys have put together, have done in the past? Because, like you said, there wasn't something here in the area, and you made it. You created it pretty much from the ground up.
Well, if we kind of go right off of where Goat left off there, I remember him telling me as like a brand new archer with my $75 Craigslist bow,
Hmm.
learning to shoot in his backyard. I remember him telling me about, well, hey, like, train to hunt, you like run up hills with sandbags and then shoot your bow. Like, doesn't that sound awesome? And I'm like, well, that sounds downright awful. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I had no desire to do that. Like, you're nuts, good for you, but I had zero interest. And, so the more he started to talk to me about ethical shot making,
Hmm.
because then he was speaking my language. Now all of a sudden we're talking about, my competency to execute a lethal shot on a deer.
Yeah, we all want to be deadly.
And I was like, yeah, you know what? Because that's one of the things that kept me away from archery for the longest time. Is I was like, I don't have the time to practice to be good enough. That I I can feel confident about taking an animal's life with a vertical bow. And so he and that's when alpha was happening. They weren't quite the train to hunts, but it was like, okay, maybe we could maybe we could try one. And what got me hooked was we were out there and a guy named Gary O'Donnell was watching me shoot at each station when we would run back and forth and do what's called the head-to-head challenge. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But we were both still in. Like, Gary was trying to beat me. Like he wanted
Hmm.
to knock me out just the same as I wanted to knock him out. But he noticed I was making errors, and he came up to me after one of my heats and he's like, "Hey, your stance is changing. The further you get into each round, you're changing your stance, so you're not getting the same shot every time." He's like, "You want to fix that?" And I was just like, "Wait, that was really helpful."
That's sportsmanship. Yeah.
And this guy's trying, like, yeah. And so I realized like there was something special about this group of guys, and that archers, we all have that same goal. And while it is to knock each other out of a competition, we all want each other to be better.
Hmm.
We want to be better hunters, more lethal, and more ethical. And so then you start to couple that in with Men's Alliance, which we'll talk about later, and just pulling many men together to work out and get to know one another. I was like, wait a minute, we have an amazing opportunity here with this hunting community, which Goat and I are very passionate about. So we started talking about, there's all these barriers for people. Well, let's take the barriers out. Let's make our own competition. He's like, what will we call it? And I'm like, well, the Goat Rodeo,
Yeah.
and it stuck. But yeah, I'll turn it over to Goat and talk a little bit about where we went from there once we decided we wanted to create this thing. You want to give the overview of what is a goat rodeo?
I'll just say before you go, Chad, it's an epic name. We just did a show last week and we're talking about like the deeper friendships that Men's Alliance you were talking about. Best friendships are guys that give each other a hard time. We rag on one another a little bit, but when you start throwing out nicknames, you know, you got yourself somebody tight. So the name's epic.
Yeah. It's interesting, like epic. We love that word. And it's when you go through something that's epic with somebody, that's what forms those bonds, right? So any military guy that's gone through basic training with somebody, it's you remember those guys for life, right? Just because you experienced something you had never experienced before, it was difficult, you hated it, but you made it through together. So what one of the things Men's Alliance does, like he's rodeo, I'm goat, you get a call sign if you've shown up. You tell people your story, they give you a call sign. Well, when we started this at our church, we started developing that core group of guys we were doing epic workouts together. We had 30-minute workouts, any weather, we're outside, we're on the ground, wherever it is, wintertime, summertime, we're outside 30 minutes, and then we do a devotion around the fire. So you can't have
Love it.
somebody that shows up and doesn't work out hard, then wants to go sit around the fire, and kind of, I'll say be needy, or special care or
Yeah.
anything like that. I mean, it's like, if you're not putting it out here, you don't get to talk around the fire, right? So it's like a bonding. You weed out the guys that don't really want to be there. So focusing on creating epic adventure is the heart of what we're trying to do. So I can tell you about experiences in the past. Can't tell you about what we're doing this year because that takes away some of the surprise. One of the
Sure.
things we do, we host this. Give this a little bit of history. We host this at Big Truck Farm, and the gentleman there, Kobe, that runs the 3D shoots, he used to work in corporate sponsorship of hunting brands. We'll call it that way. And so he's been a great mentor of ours to give us guidance. Like every year, he'll give us feedback, tell us what we need to do better. One of the things that he
Mhm.
instilled in us was the ability to build into the event something that's going to be required later on. So, for instance, the first year we had a Navy SEAL come in and did land nav courses, and we had a gentleman do fire starting courses. Well, the next year, guess what was involved in the Friday night challenge with land nav and fire starting, right? So if you weren't there the first 2 years, you could still make it the second year, but it wasn't as nearly as easy as those guys that had picked up and retained all the skills from the previous year. So Friday night, we do a group challenge. Usually the 3D course opens up around 12 in the afternoon. We want people to come in from out of town and make it worth their while. It's only $150 for this weekend. Well, we give you 3 days of shooting. If you maximize all your time, I think, what is it? You can get in 4 rounds of 3D. I mean, right there,
I
that's
think,
$100,
yeah,
right?
3.
Or 3, right? So that's
Yeah.
$75 worth of shooting
Yep.
right there. Plus, then we feed you. So there's your $100 and then, prizes.
Yep.
But so we bring people in Friday night, they can shoot a 3D round, and then we'll have some sort of event that happens Friday afternoon, followed by a team challenge Friday evening. So the team challenge, we're going to select people to belong to a team. You guys are going to have a challenge that's going to involve, I can't tell you, but it's going to involve shooting, but your shots
Yes.
get to happen in between tasks that you have to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. Like team building
Exactly,
event.
right? So
Yeah. And we always tell a story. There's always a story behind what we're making you suffer through because we've usually suffered through it first.
Been there, done that. Yeah, I love it.
So last year, we were out in Idaho. There were 3 of us. We had used an outfitter to pack us in on horses, and we were waiting for that extraction, and the guy was running late. And one of the gentlemen had a new job that he was starting in a few days. We had to get him out of there. So I guess it's about a mile up the mountain. We decided we were going to pack all of our gear down to the bottom of the mountain. So we cut down trees and we made litters, and then we hauled all the gear to the bottom of the mountain. Friday night's challenge involved these guys getting a series of bamboo poles, some parachute cord, and a bunch of sandbags. They had to construct a litter and then carry that litter around with them throughout the rest of the tasking. There's always a story behind it. So, if you want like a heads up, you have to find out what we did this year, what might
That's
come into
creative,
play.
though.
Saturday there's a couple things that happen on Saturday. One is Twisted 3D, and the other one is a head-to-head challenge. So the head-to-head challenge is, this came directly out of Phil Mendoza's Alpha Bowhunting Challenge. You line up right next to another guy. You got 4 targets in front of you coming in at an angle. Each target it starts at about 18 yards and goes out to about 40. Each target has a clay bird on it. And I don't know if you guys have ever shot clay birds with your bows, but it's just the most amazing feeling when that thing shatters. I don't know why. But you will run out, grab a sandbag, drop it into a sled, come back, shoot your target. You want to break that clay bird. Pick up another sandbag, you run it out. And these are small sandbags, they're 25 pounds. It's not like a 150-pound bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
You run it out, you come back, you do that 3 times. On the 4th one, you run out, grab your sled, drag it back, shoot the last target, step out of your box. Now, the key here is you cannot outrun bad shooting. The penalties for missing are severe, is probably the wrong word. They're significant, so that you cannot
Yes.
outrun a bad shot. So in your head, you see the guy next to you, you know what target he's on, you see what he's doing with his shots, and you're trying to calculate what kind of shot you have to make and how much time you have to make it. We have the music pumping while we're doing this. We're cheering, everybody's yelling. It's one of those epic events, a lot of fun. And we
Yeah.
do that on a single elimination. We've done double eliminations before, and it just is too much work for a rodeo because he's doing the scorekeeping.
Double elimination brackets are awful.
But with the amount of people we have, we get them through that competition at least twice. You get at least 2 runs. It's very fast moving. While some people are working through the bracket, other people are out on a 3D course. It's a regular 3D course, standard shots, standard targets, but we always add in a little challenge at each shot. So you might have to kneel, draw your bow, stand and shoot. You might have no rangefinder. You might have a 2 and 20. You might have to sit down. You might have to kneel. Um, you know, great.
50-pound
Yep.
backpack.
I mean, there's just a bunch of different challenges in that.
Just an added challenge, right?
The Cursed Hunter challenge on Sunday morning is another 3D shoot, and we don't tell people what's going to happen there. But the idea is that if you get guys that are great at 3D, they roll up, they put their chair down, they break out their spotting scope, they break out the binoculars, they range it, they look out through the binoculars again, range it again, and they execute a great shot. Well, that's not what hunting is like, right? You don't get those opportunities. So we take away the advantage of the traditional 3D shoot through a series of challenges. And it really shakes up the standings in the course, right? There's guys that excel at 3D. Maybe they did really well on Saturday, might not do as well on Sunday because, hey, there's an extra something that goes on there. But we get you out there by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Chris, I don't know if you wanted to go over the extracurricular activities and the reasons why we do those.
Yeah, absolutely. So what he talked about are the scored events.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the backbone of the Goat Rodeo. But, with our focus of building community, we have community events. So basically, there's like Friday evening after we do Friday evening's team challenge. And that team challenge is designed like we create the teams. Like you don't pick your own team to compete in the team challenge. We put together, mixed skill levels, people from different areas, different friend circles. So we're already trying to get them to know one another. But if you hang out afterwards, we go up to the brewery, hang out, and we'll do like a storytelling where we pick some guys that just had an epic hunt or just an epic story that we want them to share with the whole group. So we're kind of reinvigorating the art of storytelling because you can't capture a hunt in a text and you can't even necessarily capture it sometimes even in a YouTube video, but sitting down, being able to interact with the storyteller, that's what we want to bring back and reinforce. And so if you show up to storytelling, you get a raffle ticket. And so for all these community events, for instance, you show up Saturday morning, there's a Men's Alliance workout Saturday morning and Sunday morning. They're not required as part of the competition, but if you do that, you earn these raffle tickets for community building sessions. And we saved like some significant prizes for the raffle. So I would say probably 60 to 70% uh, of the competitors are showing up for all of these community sessions and giving guys an opportunity to get to know one another. The first year we did a gnome challenge where you had to come with a garden gnome.
All
You threw
right.
it in your backpack. It was pouring rain that night. And the idea was to sneak down to this place along the rail trail where they had this massive gnome garden. And so we placed all of our gnomes in this gnome garden, sneaking away undetected. And just, it was like a couple miles and, late at night in the rain and just talking with people, back and forth. So just challenges to get people to develop relationships and just do something other than, sitting at home Friday night watching, whatever.
Sure.
So
As
those
I'm
are the
listening,
community building activities.
yeah, I'm listening to you. Like what you're describing, I'm thinking of like back when I was a teenager, and we would look, you get with your buddies and you would go get into stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what you're describing
Yes.
to me. All right, here's an adventure that we're gonna go tackle as a group, and we're gonna go stir up the dirt and get in the mud and do something together. And that goes back to what you're saying about building those bonds with people, because when you go through stuff with one another, you make those memories. And storytelling, that's why we do the podcast. We bring on guys because everybody's got a story. We all have a why, and that's why this show exists. Because we want to hear those stories, and you can't capture it. Sometimes the best part of the hunt is when you come in at the end of the day, and you walk back into camp, and you're like, all right, guys, I'm gonna let you have it. Like this is my experience.
Yeah.
And that first telling of that raw experience, if you had a good hunt or you had an encounter or something like that, like I can't describe the value that whether I'm telling the story or whether I'm hearing the story, carries weight and it creates
We've been
bonds.
talking to some of
Yeah,
our past participants lately. We always ask, afterwards, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can we do better?
Mm-hmm.
It's like our stories now revolve around the competitions we've been in, right? Because when we go up to Benazet, there's a yearly one up there, and it's called Keystone Elk County Alliance. That one started after the Pittsburgh one, so that was probably 2018, 2019. We go up there every morning. We're cooking breakfast on the tailgate, right? We're talking trash with the guys, just having a blast. So now the stories revolve around these past experiences that we've had. A lot of the guys started their own their text thread after the competition, so they could track talk each other all year long. Like we're not
Right.
even a part of it. Like they didn't invite us into their trash talking. They just like kept it to themselves. But we love that fact because they are spawning off their own community of sorts, and we love it. One of the things that we do about prizes, Chris mentioned the raffle. So we just take a whole bunch of Peridot ice cream tubs and we cut holes in them. And then when you get your raffle ticket, there's a tub in front of every prize. So you can drop your raffle tickets into those. So that will draw, you have an equal chance of getting it. But we quickly realized, when you participate in these events, the number one winner gets a brand new bow. Well, that guy's already got a brand new bow. He's got a setup that he loves. This is his thing that he's going to shoot with. So what we do is we give more experience-oriented awards to the category winners, right? It's a commemorative something for the event. But we've given away bows for the guy that had the worst bow, the oldest bow. Gave him a new bow. Most improved,
I dig it.
most
Yeah.
improved archer got a bow. One year we had a friend of ours, Joe, came in and he spent the entire weekend coaching one of our younger competitors. He got like a community award because he helped out everybody, right? Bow repairs,
Mm-hmm.
Coaching.
Yeah.
All the stuff that's necessary in a community that goes unseen. Those guys get awards as well. So we try and distribute knowledge and effective awards, if that makes sense, right? We want to build somebody up, but not give them something they're not going to use. But
Love it. I love it. And, so you're rewarding the people that are, pouring into others, and as far as that goes, and that sort of thing too. So the whole concept of this, approach, as described to me whenever I first heard about this, was like, all right, can I be lethal with an elevated heart rate?
Mhm.
You know, like you said, you got your 3D guys that are good and can range it out and shoot really good. And I got guys that are interested, just so you know. Like I've got competitive archers that when they heard I was gonna have you guys come on, they're like, tell me more. So I love the concept, but the idea of climbing the hill, carrying the sandbag, like whatever the task is, elevating your heart, and then still you got to be
Yes.
smooth, so you can take that ethical shot and stuff. Because we talk about this all the time, Chris. I think you had brought up earlier about this is what kept you from hunting archery,
Yeah.
and it is unfortunately, because I take it very seriously. Every animal that I take, we use the animal. We don't want to let anything go to waste. But in archery, there's just so many variables that sometimes you make a bad shot, and sometimes the animal lives and sometimes the animal doesn't, and you just don't recover it. But archery is a completely different approach to hunting deer or anything really for that matter than hunting with a gun. So
Absolutely.
being able to, push yourself, like the concept in itself, I guess is what I'm getting at, of like you're pushing yourself and being able to bring yourself back down, even with an elevated heart rate, you're breathing heavier. Can you still make that lethal shot? I love the concept of what you guys are doing and
Yeah.
challenging other guys to do it too.
Right. And doing it like, trying to expose guys to just a myriad of situations that, hey, this is what happened to me. There's gonna be a shot that mimics an elk that I didn't get this year.
Hmm.
They're gonna have to go through my exact same process, shoot my exact same yardage, and they're gonna learn from whatever happened to me because it was awful.
Right.
And so if we can teach a guy that lesson on a foam animal when it also means something to him, like score is important to guys,
Yeah,
we
we're
want to do
competitive
well.
by nature.
So we're putting them in that situation with a little bit of pressure before they find themselves in that situation,
Unprepared.
in Idaho on a 2-week elk hunt, and that was the only shot you were offered that whole 2 weeks, you know? So we can save a guy a little bit of pain, and protect an animal from a bad shot. I think that is definitely one of the reasons, we do the goat rodeo. But the main, I'll talk about the guy here for a moment that got us all connected. Dan. Um, Dan was one of those guys that was out at Big Truck shooting the 3D course with his buddies, and we were out there going, "Hey, want to try running some sandbags around and shoot?" And Dan was like, "Yes,
Yeah.
like I do this for fun." And
Right.
we're like,
Right.
"Wait, what?" He had never heard about the competitions, but he understood that he needed something like that to make ethical shots. And so he had already had some kind of idea of, how to mix exercise and archery. And so I think he was one of the leaders going into the goat rodeo, the first one that we had. And so he came out, ran that trial run, and then signed up for the goat rodeo, did very well, and got to meet our core group of guys. So we had a kind of a core group of guys to
Hmm.
start the goat rodeo, and a lot of them were guys we just shoved bows in their hands. We're like, we're going to teach you how to shoot so that you can be at the goat rodeo.
Yeah.
And so we probably had 6 or 7 core guys that we work out with at Men's Alliance that we have different degrees of relationships with that showed up there. And then we also offered that Saturday morning and Sunday morning workout and devotional around the fire. And so Dan came out and, participated in everything. The community sessions, the competition. He knew something was different about this. And so we said, well, Dan, like, the goat rodeo only happens once a year. Like, if you're loving this vibe, we do this every Saturday. Like, we don't bring our bows every Saturday, but we get together, we work out hard, and then we talk about life together. Like, for real, talk about life. Like, problems and all. And it just really hit me a couple months after he was with us and doing the workouts. He's like, I mean, I've always had friends. He's like, but, most of my friends, we just drink beer and talk about football.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had conversations like this about my marriage, you
Depth.
know, or how life's going for me, or what to do when I get so angry all the time. For him to even a couple months after the first goat rodeo to realize that like I am involved in two-way meaningful relationships with guys for the first time probably since high school.
Yeah.
And that's what we see. We see a lot of people that haven't had this close of friendships since high school football or the military, that they've left those kind of places that foster that kind of camaraderie
Mm-hmm.
and just never found it. And so between the Goat Rodeo and Men's Alliance, we think we're definitely onto something that's making Goat and I better leaders, better husbands, better fathers, better friends. And that's what we really hope to do with the Goat Rodeo is bring those guys that are isolated in their tree stands and probably feeling isolated in other areas of their lives as well. Bring them in
And
the
to make
community.
Dan really blush, if he hears this, what was really cool, he turned around and poured that energy into some of our new archers, right? He
Oh my
took,
gosh.
inviting guys out to his farm, to hunt in his tree stands, to hunt his deer, and helping
Mm-hmm.
them track those deer, teaching them. One guy shot his first deer. Well, Dan was there to show him how to actually field dress the deer, right? Because a lot of, adult onset hunters, they just like, well, now what? What do I do with it? What do I do with this thing? You know,
Yeah, mentorship's so important.
And so, he turned around and poured that into others, and that's exactly what we're looking for, right? Everybody helping, the I don't want to say the lesser guy, everybody helping the next guy, right? The guy that's just getting
Mm-hmm.
started. Yeah. So we have a friend of ours came up last year and did our event. His name is Jason. This year, he's doing his first event down in West Virginia. And so a bunch of us are going to travel down there May 1st. We're going to participate. It's a 2-day event. But we'll take that energy with us. I remember there was he uses Facebook, which is a horrible thing, but I actually had to go in there the other day and I saw there's a question from a gentleman. He's like, well, I just started. I'm not sure that I'm ready for this. I'm like, dude, just show up. There's only two things that are going to happen. One, you're either going to walk away with more friends, or two, you're going to walk away as a better archer. But guaranteed, you're going to love the experience and you're going to be happy that you came. And it's I get it. People hear about things like sandbags and things and they think, well, I don't think I can do all that. Well, you won't know until you try, but it's not as difficult as your mind makes it seem like it's going to be, right? They're like anything else. When we work out, we have a rule: don't die.
Good rule.
You
I
versus
actually
you.
had a guy one time, we were doing a workout and he's sitting there, he's kind of feeling his chest. And I'm like, you okay? He goes, yeah. And he goes on to tell me about this embolism thing he had in his chest. I'm like, what? Like, why are you here?
Take it easy for a
But
second. You take a breath.
not everybody's like that. And he was a young guy. So yeah,
Well,
called
it's
me off
interesting.
guard. Like, will you just sit down
Yeah,
over here for a little while?
yeah. I would say it's interesting because, what you guys are talking about, I mean, just as leaders, pouring into other individuals so that they can better themselves or find a different piece of themselves and going deep in relationship and things like that. Like that is contagious. And so, um, I think as men, we do isolate ourselves. Most men don't have our circle's small if we have a circle at all. And so recognizing the need for a circle of community and then embracing that, finding people, finding your tribe, finding people that speak your language and have the same passions that you can connect on those things. And then at the same time, be genuine. It's not surface level conversations like we were saying, when you talk about real stuff, what's going on with the kids, what's going on in a household and with work or family and that sort of thing. That's meaningful work.
Within
And
our
so,
tribe, if you can earn a coin, right? So like a lot of, different groups, they have coins you can earn. I'll hold
yep.
it up. I don't know if you'll be able to read it or not, but I mean, this one says isolation is terminal. And it's just that constant reminder to have in your pocket, that's saying, and I do it, right? Like I'm one of the worst at doing this, right? I'm an adult. I used to joke that if I'm laying underneath my truck and the transmission is on my chest and I've tried everything and I can't get it off, I might ask for help, but I'm going to
Right.
be embarrassed about it, right? But learning how to be not too proud, to ask for that help, um, not too proud to ask guys, for hunting advice, fishing advice, not too proud to say,
Yeah.
you know what, I've been a real piece of crap this week to my wife. How do I stop doing that? Right? My kids hate me. How do I get beyond that? And so being able to pull guys out of that isolation, that's one of the hardest things to do. But once they come out, once they realize, A, that they've been isolated, and two, that they've finally found like a group of guys that, the guys that when you call them in the morning at 3 o'clock, they're grabbing their shovel, putting on their pants and heading your way,
Hmm.
right? How do you get those
Right.
guys? Well, it's only by doing hard things, right? If you're a Facebook group, those guys aren't coming to your house in the middle of the night when you have a problem, right? But if you're consistently, showing up, doing the hard work with people, they're gonna show up for you when the time is needed. And what I love about your podcast, after Dan was on and he told us about it, we started listening to it. Keep hearing you guys reiterate over and over and over again. Community, community, community. And so it is. It's ironically so similar to what we're trying to do. I love.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the heart of your mission is, building a better archery community. Am I saying that right? You know,
Stronger.
being a stronger archery community, right? Make sure I get it right. So I mean that's the linchpin or the anchor that holds it all together. If we can, everybody wants to belong to something, but the value is, and when you're investing in other people, you're mining for gold, like you're digging for gems. And there's a silver lining in each one of us, no matter how messed up we all are.
Oh,
We all carry value,
mm.
but rare is it in this age that we're living in, because most people are very self-focused, that they run across people that are willing to invest in them. And that's what I hear you guys are doing, and I think it's awesome. Really do. So you can't talk about, like, you do this once a year. You don't want to give away the Goat Rodeo. You don't want to give away exactly what you guys are doing. What can people expect? How can we hype what you're doing? Time, date, month. I know it's a summer event, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, what is it? The last
It's
weekend in
June
June?
26th to the 28th. Yep. So
Yeah.
beautiful weather.
I'd be about there. Yeah.
Perfect time of year. How soon do people need to start thinking about signing up? Do you guys have a cap at some point?
Yeah, we do. That's one of the things we had to originally we thought, oh, we could do 75. And then after we went to single elimination last year to
Say too
try
much
to,
scorekeeping, right?
it was, yeah. And so, but we've realized that to be the community event we want to be, 50 is the max. And man, Big Truck it's a beautiful facility. We are just so blessed to have them in sponsorship with us,
Mhm.
willing to, to let us have run of their grounds, for that weekend. But we just feel like 50's the sweet spot for us. Uh, and half of those spots are gone. We have about 25 signed up. And those are our regulars. We probably have 3 or 4 new, and we haven't really pushed it a ton
Right?
to this point. So I think this podcast, and then as we start to amp up, as soon as the weather breaks and people start thinking about it again, I think the Appalachian Bowhunter Challenge, which Goat just referenced down in West Virginia, I think once people get a taste of that, the rest of the spots will go after that weekend, because I think they'll sign up for ours as well. So yeah, if they want to experience it, I would say definitely before May, because like after that first weekend in May, I think we're gonna be sold out.
You guys will fill up, and that's a good problem to have. Actually, it's probably a wisdom step to say, like, community is important to us. and so we don't want to outgrow our, that effective reach. We have a reach, but there's an effective reach, so that might be a real wisdom step on your
And being a
behalf.
big truck, what you can expect is there will be beer. There will be a lot of beer.
Very, very good
There
beer.
will be beer for prizes. There are also food trucks there all weekend with us as well, right? Plus the big truck farms kitchen, whatever they produce. I think it's usually like wings and pizza. But so there's food and beer there. Saturday and Sunday morning after we do the workout, we provide breakfast. So again, this isn't anything fancy. It's usually deer venison and deer sausage in burritos. Breakfast burritos on the
Yep.
grill right there. And then we get right into it. We have plenty of water and stuff there for people to drink, of course. First year we did it, I think it was upper 90s and like 100% humidity for the entire weekend. So
That's
It was
tough.
we learned
August.
our lesson there, moved it up a
Yeah.
couple months. There's that. There is guaranteed community. You are going to meet people that are just like you, that probably talk trash a little bit better than you do, but at the same time will be helping you fix your bow. I don't know how many bow repairs we did last year. It was amazing. We had a guy show up, Ronnie. Ronnie came with some extra arrows in his hand and a bow press, like a portable bow press. He's like,
Huh?
you guys might be able to use this. Here, it's yours. Well, we used that thing all weekend. It just was the weekend
I'm
for
sure.
broken peeps and D-loops, and I think even a string or two might have come off. So we got the community that shows up. Now, archery wise, like we said, you can expect at least 3D you can expect 3D rounds. Plus then your other competitions that we'll do. So you're gonna get a ton of shooting in. You get a chance to walk away with some cool swag. Both Kafaru and Montana Knife have been really good sponsors of us for the past 2 years. We're hoping we get them back again this year. Lancaster Archery is one of our sponsors. We have several smaller sponsors: Rise Fishing Company, Absolute Comfort and Sons, Jamie's Services, guys that are just able to invest in the community. They see the things that we're doing and they want to pour into us. Hopefully, in response, our guys pour into them when they need repairs and fixes and things like that. So,
Yeah,
Grindhouse
Grindhouse
tattoos. We've given away tattoos. We do not do tattoos on premises simply because of sweat and
Sure.
dirt. It
Yeah, it's not the
doesn't turn out
cleanest
well, but
environment.
yeah, they have been a great sponsor of ours for all 3 years as well. So we just, how do you say it? Like a couple years ago, I changed my default answer to yes, right? So if somebody comes up to me and they say yes, or they ask me a question, my answer is yes. Then I go ask my wife, and then if she doesn't say no, it's still yes. Because there's just life is going by so fast. I'm missing the opportunities
Yeah.
to do
Man.
things because I'm afraid of something. Like, what am I really afraid of? Yeah, and it's so little out there that's really going to hurt you in this world, but there's so much benefit. Even if you come and you show up and you're like, that sucked, I didn't like it. Well, at least you got probably good food. You got to shoot your bow a lot, and
You got the
you met at least
experience.
one or two people that you're going to hang out with, after this, and you guys can complain together about something that you didn't like. But at least you came out and you tried. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Friday night, the special sauce, it's just, we don't give it away a whole lot just because it needs to be a surprise and needs to be fresh. And we can't give the competitors that know what's coming, the guys that have been through it last year, we can't have them expecting either the same thing or expecting something completely different. Have to keep
Love it.
them on their toes. But yeah, it is an amazing time.
So it sounds like an awesome full weekend. You get a Friday night, you get an all day Saturday, you got a Sunday through, early afternoon, early mid afternoon, and sounds like a ton of value for the investment of your time and coming out and
Are
supporting
you
you
planning on
guys.
coming? You plan?
How can Well, I don't know. We'll have to look at my calendar and see if it's available,
And
but
you
I'm
can't be
definitely interested in getting to know you
you
guys.
can't be pimping something if you're not going to show up. I mean, those are the rules.
That's just it. So, one of the other things, I don't want to I don't want to go off into another direction here, but we talked about the raised at full draw and the youth shoots and stuff like that. And the last 2 years, I've been trying to get me to just pop out, just stop out and see the kids and do that sort of
That's
stuff. And
July.
I want to
That's
do it.
July 18th this year. But
Yeah, it's coming up soon
3 weeks,
too.
so yeah, that's there's no conflict there. Raising a full draw, when you want to talk about community, they bring in a whole bunch for guys who aren't familiar with the program. They bring in a bunch of new kids. They come from Philly and Baltimore, York County, Lancaster County,
Mhm.
and these kids are 11 through 16ish. They take away their cell phones and they make them put up a tent, and they camp out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Their parents come pick them up on Sunday, and we bring them in and we teach them how to shoot a bow. And by the end of the weekend, they should have their bowhunter safety certification. But what's most interesting are the guys that come in to volunteer, right? Because they're guys like us, right? We just kind of like grumbly come in like, oh, I'll teach you a little, kid.
Yeah.
But on Sunday morning when we're saying goodbye, all these tough guys are crying, right? Because they've just poured 4 days into the kids, and the kids just turned around and loved them. The kids are awesome. I hate the parents. Like, I'm sorry if your parents have gone. You sent your kids there. I see these kids. They put 4 days into it, and they're trying to show their parents everything they did, and their parents aren't interested. They're looking at their cell phone. They're talking.
Yeah, they don't recognize the
Yeah, talking
value.
sports to each other. I'm like, your kid is out here trying to show you something that it was hard for them. It was hard for them to do this, and they did it. And so, when we build up our archery community, then I'm like, some of our guys are participating in the Raise to Full Draw, volunteering again this year. They did it last year. They're doing it again this year. And it's just extending that community over and over again. Hopefully someday these kids will come in, and they'll be like, I remember you. You were my instructor at, RAFD, and here I am participating in your shoot. So it's a goal.
It's a great program. I've got to meet some cool guys that go out and support that program and get it out, and we want to be a voice to get those kids, make people aware that the program exists and stuff. So yeah, it's I brought it up just because my calendar fills up, and it's one of those things. Like, hey man, I'd love to go, but then I end up not making it for one reason or another. So stay on me. Don't let me off easy. And hopefully you guys can get me down there in June
Yeah.
to hang out with you guys and experience this. Sounds super, super cool. How
Yeah.
can we support you? What can we do to support what you guys are doing?
Well, I think one of the things that your audience needs to hear is that some of them are sitting there. They've heard us explain it,
Mhm.
but they're getting a picture in their head of, I don't know that I can do that. Like they're picturing
We
the
talk
things they
ourselves out
can't
of it
do.
stuff.
If you show up, if you sign up, show up, and you're like, man, I was way out of my league. I was the worst archer here. I will give you your money back. I guarantee you, we have people that have come year after year, look forward to this year after year. You're going to be better than some of those people.
Yeah.
So please don't feel like you're going to come make a fool out of yourself. That's not how we roll. That's not how you build community. That's not what keeps archers of all ability levels from coming back year after year. So that's my promise to your audience. If you show up and you are the worst archer there, I will give you your money back.
Beginners to pros, you're all welcome.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
is. It is just an incredible event. I don't know why people don't do them. It's one of those questions like if somebody says, why wouldn't I do this? I don't know. Why wouldn't you do it? It's like you just have a chance to shoot all weekend long.
I say this is like a metaphor, but like you might love hot dogs, right? But once you've had steak, you don't go back to hot
Yes.
dogs. But if you've never had steak, you don't know what you're missing, right? And that's the way it is for a lot of people that if they haven't touched it or experienced it, we talk about camaraderie. And if you haven't had that, you really don't know what we're talking about. But once you've touched it or seen it, you know that there's something
Yep.
different and then there's value
We had a
there.
guy last year. We'll throw him out there. He won't care. But he was looking for a way to connect with his son-in-law, and so he
Hmm.
signed those two guys up. And when he came out, turns out that he knew rodeo right from a way back.
Okay.
But Brody, you can talk about how that weekend ended with him.
Well, they both came out, had an incredible weekend. I think one of them was a recipient of a bow, I believe. Yeah. And just the my old buddy was just so moved by the whole weekend. But what it really was he did not realize how isolated he had become.
Sure.
He wasn't even aware of what he was missing until he spent the weekend with us. Both of them then got involved in Men's Alliance and are plugged into tribes on a regular basis. So that's those guys that come out thinking, "Oh, like I'll do some archery stuff with these guys and do some archery things." That's not what it's about. What it's about is that community, that connection with other men. So, but yeah, oh man, that was
And be
powerful.
warned, if you bring your family with you, we're going to put them to work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need families. They help us pull arrows. They help us time the events. They help us score. Yeah, it's family friendly. Absolutely.
We
Perfect.
also run it's one class as well. We don't run. You can shoot. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. There's no youth. There's no old men. Right. There's no
Mhm.
women's class. This is all together. Right. Everybody shoots together. Everybody competes against each other. We make sure that the events are all equal for everybody. There's no penalty or there's no hindrance that's going to keep you back if you show up and you have, can't think of anything politically correct to say. If you show up,
Well, it doesn't have
yeah,
to be politically correct in this
Yeah.
if you
garage,
show up,
but
you can participate. It's that simple.
yeah, I love it. I love it. So all are welcome. How do we put people in contact with you? You guys are on socials? Got a website?
GoatRodeoArchery.com.
GoatRodeoArchery.com. Go check them out. Chad Bowser and Chris Martin.
We do most of the
Got it right, guys?
promotions through Instagram, which is at Goat Rodeo Archery. Right.
I know we always got to
Believe so.
think of her handle, make sure that we got it right.
Yes.
So we'll plug it, guys. Appreciate you really from the bottom of my heart coming on, and this has been a great conversation. I think our audience is going to love this episode, and you're welcome to come
Greatly
back.
appreciate you
You know,
having us.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
said we're like the mob, man. Once you're in, we say, you're part of the hunting family. So once you're in, it's hard to get out. We keep pulling you back.
Well, we got some good stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk hunting next time.
All right, hang on, guys. I'll run the end credits and then I'll end the show. But for everybody else, appreciate you tuning in. You stayed this long. Hit the subscribe button. Share this with a friend. Get the word out there about the Goat Rodeo Archery. And remember, you guys, nature is our playground. Stay wild.
Absolutely. Thank you.